What's up, everybody? Take two with this. I'm live streaming from the hotel here in Ventura, California, so not at my normal HQ. Things are a little different here. Anyway, I want to take a break from the conference I'm at, Dimensions of Disclosure, just to catch up on the work. Lord knows that if I don't stay up to speed on these things, it's just going to blow right past me. So we're going to take a moment. We'll talk about some things. I want to still touch on the NBC attacks against the Epoch Times and how the Epoch Times is just amazingly responding to these NBC attacks. And then a few other things, you know, David Koch dying, we've got the Amazon rainforest, we've got Andrew McCabe being hired by CNN. Yeah, a few things we'll catch up to speed on. So let's begin. First of all, just remember, if you want to support the work I do, you can sign up on Patreon. You get some exclusive things like giveaways, live chats, coupon codes to my website, other things like that. So you can find the link to that down below. And then I've got free shipping on my website now. Updated it, free shipping on anything I offer there, the Ormus, the greens, the Orgonite. If you want to grab anything direct from my website, again, link for that below. Free shipping on everything now. It just makes it a whole lot easier for me and for you. So now let's move on. Last night, I did a live stream with the Edge of Wonder guys, the Wonder Boys, Ben and Rob. We were at the beach last night, did a live stream there, and we talked about them getting attacked by NBC. We discussed the attack against the Epoch Times by NBC as well, and Rachel Maddow even playing their videos on her primetime broadcast. It was really fun, really fun. We had some super soakers there, most definitely. So go take a look at that. And speaking of the attack against the Epoch Times, check this out. The Epoch Times receives outpouring of support after NBC and MSNBC hit pieces, and they definitely did. I saw, I mean, not just the Edge of Wonder count, subscriber count start rising, but pretty much all the Twitter accounts that the Epoch Times runs, they started climbing. There's huge support for him, which is great stuff. You know, all the attacks that the, of course, corporate media is doing against alternative media and citizen journalists, etc. It's just not working. It's not working anymore. And the Epoch Times is responding beautifully to this. Just extremely professional. Every single hit piece the NBC puts out, they respond to it in a very just balanced manner, putting the facts out there, showing, yeah, fake news media attacking the Epoch Times because they're truthful, because they are a great, unbiased newspaper, right? So, there you go. That's what happens when you deal with all the lying narcissists at these fake news corporations. It's all you have to do is just tell the truth, and you make them look like absolute fools. So, good on you, Epoch Times. Much appreciated. Now let's move on into talking about some QAnon. So check this out. This comes out of Arizona. There's a college there, Mesa College, and an English professor at that Arizona University showed a QAnon video during class. What a way to kickstart the school year, right? He showed Joe M. Shout out to Joe M. He showed Joe's The Plan to Save the World video, which, gosh, must have like 2.5 million views by now, except I would probably think it has more actual views than that. Nevertheless, this English professor showed it to his class, and of course, media is having a field day with it, trying to attack this guy, trying to say he's showing far-right conspiracy theories to his class, etc., etc. When here's one point. How many professors do we have out there at universities across the nation that they all make political points during their classes, especially English professors? You know, it's hard to get through a class without there being some sort of political point made by the professor. So, I mean, they're attacking this guy for being political. What's the difference? And shoot, I mean, let's be real. Joe M's video should be required watching for every student in the nation, every person in the nation. So good on this guy. Good on this guy for sharing that video during class. Good stuff. The word's spreading. And the Media Matters is having a field day with it here. Oh, excuse me. No, they didn't. Let's talk about the other topic I want to discuss in regards to Q, the Eventbrite page. So Media Matters is having a field day with the Eventbrite page for the Great Awakening rally that's being held here in Washington, D.C. on 9/11. And I posted how Eventbrite actually sent an email to the organizer of the Great Awakening Rally canceling that Eventbrite page. They canceled it. Here's the email. It literally says, you know, we encourage our organizers to express their views, etc., but in this instance, we have determined that events associated with QAnon, quote, violate our community guidelines, terms of service, blah, blah, blah. So Eventbrite pulled the page for it, can't find it anymore, but it's still going on. You know, it's not ending the event there in Washington, D.C. It's still very much going on. It's just Eventbrite, we can tell these days. It's becoming very easy to tell who believes the lies and who doesn't believe the lies, especially with these tech companies and who they support and who they deplatform. So, sorry, Eventbrite. And of course, Media Matters. Oh, here's an update to their article here on Eventbrite hosting the QAnon rally. Jordan Sather, a QAnon promoter and one of the upcoming rally's key promoters, posted an email on Twitter, etc., etc. Media Matters for America. Well, truthful media matters for America. Media Matters being, what, David Brock's brainchild. They're terrible. They are terrible. Poor souls. Now let's move on into talking Epstein. So just a few details. You know, every day we get a few more things leak out into the media for us to report on. And speaking of the Epic Times and their wonderful reporting, no sarcasm with that. Epstein's New Mexico ranch has a story to tell. So the eyes are shifting to multiple properties of his, you know, not just Manhattan, not just Palm Beach or what's going on there in the Caribbean, but New Mexico as well. Because some of the allegations coming out about Epstein, some of the accusers are mentioning New Mexico as a place where some of these things happen. And there's some connections there, man. I'm just researching, number one, his ranch there in New Mexico. It's thing's massive. It's got its own airstrip, helipad, like all sorts of stuff. And not just that, but the former governor of New Mexico, Bill Richardson, his ties to Epstein and his ties to, you know, deep state folk across the board. Look at the board of directors and the companies that guy was on. He's swamp. He's swamp 100%. So more details about Epstein's time in New Mexico coming out. How about him and Ghislaine Maxwell? Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell stroll the streets of Paris with their underage sex slave in newly unsealed photos. So unsealed photos, that one, that's Virginia Roberts there. One of the accusers bringing the allegations forth about Epstein and Maxwell. And these are some old photographs, man. These are like 20 years old, I think it says in the article here. They've been doing this stuff for a long time. So this justice we're finally seeing is very much deserved. And last thing on Epstein, this having to do with Prince Andrew, though. So, of course, Prince Andrew coming into question lately because that video surfaced showing him at Epstein's Manhattan mansion. And then the next day, Prince Andrew, oh, I'm appalled by this Epstein stuff, and I didn't have any role. So he says. Well, now check this out. Prince Andrew was seen getting a foot massage from a young woman at Epstein's apartment. God, I seriously hope that was just a foot massage. These people can't escape. They can run, but they can't hide. They can deny all they want, but the evidence doesn't lie, does it? Evidence does not lie. So Prince Andrew, former New Mexico governors. Remember the former Australian Prime Minister, wasn't his daughter involved with Ghislaine Maxwell in various ways? Yeah. So, lots of information coming out about all this stuff, implicating very prominent folk. Okay, now let's talk David Koch. David Koch. Potato. A billionaire conservative activist and philanthropist dies at age 79. Of course, whenever I see the word philanthropist describing these billionaires, especially in the mainstream media, if you ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, is philanthropist or full-on rapist? Funny stuff. But, you know, philanthropy is their cover word to make them seem all good and well and, you know, stand-up individuals when their money goes into such nasty stuff. But nevertheless, David Koch passing away, well, God, what connections does he have? Yeah, let's just bring it up right here. How about Epstein? How about David Koch being in Epstein's little black book? You can see his name right there. This meme has it wrong. It's not the flight logs, but it is the little black book. So we do have a connection there between David Koch and Epstein. And not just that, but if you want to do some research on your own, you can find that David Koch threw a party that Epstein was at right after Epstein got out of prison about a decade ago. Definitely some connects there. David Koch, totally swamp. Another total swamp guy. And you know, I'm never, shall we say, I never support when people die, but I have read obituaries and have been a very happy fella. Some people would just be much better off this planet, right? Society would be much better in general. So let's move on from that into talking this guy, the ex-Overstock CEO, ex-CEO, he was just a few days ago that he stepped down, Patrick Byrne, saying he got fishy orders from Peter Strzok, former acting attorney general, unsure of claims. So this guy is making some news. He's coming out into the public. He did an interview on Fox News, and he also did an interview on CNN, which we're talking about in a minute. But he's basically saying that he was involved with Spygate, in that some of the people involved in Spygate, like Peter Strzok here, were trying to use him to frame more people, if I'm getting that correct. You know, he's making a lot of claims that are very odd. And some people are believing what he says. Me, I'm a little more reserved to his claims. I'm reserved because he's just saying a lot of interesting stuff. As Ryan Saavedra, reporter for the Daily Wire, reports here, Overstock CEO says the FBI in 2015 and 16 reached out to him and got him to help with law enforcement activities that turned out to be political espionage against Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Marco Rubio, and Ted Cruz. So that's one of those claims. Patrick Byrne here is saying that they were trying to spy as well on Hillary Clinton, and that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to me. I've also seen some minor contradictions in the timelines, in the interview that he did. You know, here's the one with CNN, which, if you're actually outing Spygate, outing the illegal, treasonous FISA abuses, why would CNN give you any sort of platform to tell your story on if there wasn't some sort of agenda with it, right? So I think this guy's just coming out. You know, I don't know why. Maybe paid off. Maybe he's being blackmailed. Maybe this guy is deep state himself and he's coming forward to do a favor for some friends right now. I don't know, but it seems to me like he's just totally muddying the waters. He's muddying the waters. He's trying to throw Comey under the bus and sort of maybe insulate Hillary Clinton. That's just a theory of mine. Why would Hillary Clinton have been spied upon? You know? We know Trump was. We know Ted Cruz was, as per Q. But Clinton and Marco Rubio? You know, again, maybe his claims that he's coming out with is to throw a few folk to the wolves and then insulate, like I said, Clinton or maybe some others. So just some things to think about. And again, this guy's on CNN. If he was on just Fox News, that'd be a little bit more believable, but he's getting rolled out to Fox and CNN and everywhere. So, plus like Overstock CEO. Of all people, the Overstock CEO. Out of nowhere, right? So, seems fishy. Seems fishy. You can do your own research, do your own discernment, and come up with your own conclusions on that one. And then here was a couple of those contradictions that he stated, pointed out by an Epoch Times researcher here. So, you know, more truthful than the rest. But he told Fox that one of the Russian agents trying to get involved with him invited him to Moscow in March 2016. But then he told CNN that the same individual invited him to Moscow in July 2015. So the timelines, like I said, the timelines he's given out in these interviews don't match up. And if you gauge his energy too, just read his resonance. He seems very nervous. Seems kind of sweaty. Like if you're telling the truth, if you're telling the story like this, I don't know. It's weird. Totally weird. Okay, let's move on into talking CNN signing Andrew McCabe. of all freaking people, the guy that got fired from the FBI for lying is now going to work at CNN. Well, wonderful place for liars to work, we know that. And no doubt that this is going on because, well, speaking of FISA abuses, the Justice Department Inspector General reportedly completing the FISA abuse investigation, and some reports are stating that that is going to AG bar as soon as next week, which it's Friday now, so that's just a few days away. So this makes sense to me, putting the dots together here. I mean, absolutely, Andrew McCabe, he's scared shitless, so that's why CNN's hiring him, so he can write a bunch of propaganda for the machine there. It's much like when John Podesta got exposed in the WikiLeaks emails. It wasn't a short time later that he ran over to the Washington Post and started writing articles for them, right? So when any of these deep state folk get exposed, they get a job at a propaganda machine just to cover their tracks and put a bunch of lying stuff out there. But, of course, Andrew would run to CNN if FISA abuses are going to drop soon. He's trying to cover tracks. And that also makes sense to me why this guy, ex-Overstock CEO, would come out with all these sort of weird accusations in regards to Spygate, weird claims. Again, maybe trying to muddy the waters and deter the investigations before the IG report hits. So that's just my thought processes through this all. And then let's talk about the last thing here that I want to touch on, and that's the Amazon fires. So massive fires blowing up in the Amazon rainforest. You know, truly awful situation. We definitely need to, my opinion, as a society, look out for our Mother Earth a lot more than we do now. But there's something definitely fishy about all of this because, well, number one, look at all the propaganda coming out about it. Like, so much climate change propaganda. It's very convenient for that narrative to be pushed. And not just that, but Brazil's new president, Bolsonaro, Jair Bolsonaro, you know, he's basically like the Trump of Brazil. We could say mainstream media in Brazil, but also international mainstream media conglomerate. They're all trying to attack this guy, call him, you know, like a far-right conspiracy theorist, etc., etc. Well, Bolsonaro said that a bunch of NGOs, he blamed non-governmental organizations for starting these fires to attack the presidency, attack Bolsonaro there in Brazil. And yeah, like, I could believe it. And you look at the mainstream media like Reuters here, and I saw BBC report on this too. They're saying he's baselessly blaming these NGOs. Anytime the mainstream media uses the word baselessly, it probably is baseful. It's probably rude in fact. They're just saying baselessly because they're trying to frame the narrative. So I wouldn't doubt if NGOs set these fires to attack the presidency there in Brazil, if it's a presidency that's anti-deep state. It reminds me of the situation we had here in thanks for the super chats, my friends. That's definitely appreciate it. But it reminds me of the situation we had here in California. That wasn't so much to attack the Trump's presidency, but we had all these fires being set in California just a summer or two ago, and they didn't seem natural. Seemed like they were set by some NGOs, some rogue actors, and maybe they were set to get some emergency federal funding for California. Whatever the case was, yeah, definitely fishy. Same thing here. Sort of the same thing there in Amazon rainforest. And with the deep state sort of getting exposed worldwide right now, yeah, it is not outside the realm of possibility for them to do just shit like this. They just want, some people just want to watch the world burn, don't they? If we can't have the power, then just set it on fire, you sick bastards. And then I saw this tweet, last tab I have for you guys. Leaked documents. According to breaking news, leaked documents suggest that Brazilian President Bolsonaro's government is directly responsible for the fires. Huh? So, yesterday, Bolsonaro claims that a bunch of rogue actors, basically the deep state, did it, NGOs. And now today, leaked documents come out suggesting it's Bolsonaro's fault. So, in my eyes, I'm like, who got these leaked documents? Was it CNN that leaked them? Newsweek? Washington Post? New York Times? Who did these documents get leaked to, and who wrote them? Right? Sounds like they're trying to cover up the fact that Bolsonaro was blaming the deep state just yesterday. So heck, let's just fabricate these documents, leak them out, and blame it on the president himself there in Brazil. Oh yeah, I don't know, man. Some people I see in the comments, they're blaming directed energy weapons for Brazil, which, I mean, doesn't have to be. They could just take a blowtorch there in the middle of the forest and do what they did. I don't think we have any evidence of any sort of advanced or secret stuff there quite yet. I don't frankly think they need it, but we had that. We had some evidence of there being directed energy weapons or maybe scalar technology used in California, but we'll see. You know, we'll see how this all plays out, everybody. But that's all I had for you here. Remember, Patreon, got my website. You can subscribe to my newsletter there. And I appreciate all the super chats, everybody. Thank you, Jordaka. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, John. Yeah, man, this hat's cool. I'm a big fan of this hat. I'll be wearing it all day today. Got the hat, got my Space Force shirt. I'm ready to go here in Ventura. So that's all for this one, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. More coming. Done for this one.